Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and it's tier list time again. And I asked in the comments on our last video what you guys wanted to see. We finished all the classes, and one of the top comments was secrets, and I thought that'd be a real fun thing to take a look at. Mage, Rogue, Paladin, and Hunter have all got secrets out throughout the history of Hearthstone, so I thought let's go through, evaluate every single one, and rate them from tier S to F, S being like a god tier secret included in a ton of decks, and F being unplayable garbage you would be sad to get in Arena. So let's get going. Let's take a look at every single secret in Hearthstone history. Starting with number one, here we have Ambush, a recent addition to Rogue. It's a 2-mana secret, and whenever your opponent plays a minion, you summon a 2/3 poisonous minion. So this has been pretty good in like Secret Rogue, Tempo Rogue, basically anything that runs the Secret Passage. You have Shadow Jeweler, Hanaria, Blackjack, Stunner. It's all built around that. And you still see it see play. It's not one of the most popular secrets. Some people actually have cut it in a recent secret builds. They've been around like dirty tricks and stuff like that. But it's very solid, very good. It's very annoying to play around. Like, opponent plays it, well, you got this annoying poisons. You can't really play a big threat. So I'm going to give it an A. It's a relatively strong secret. It's the best tempo one for Rogue, and all around, not bad. Next, we have a Paladin secret, Auto Defense Matrix. Whenever your minion is attacked, give it Divine Shield. It's like just a, nice little way of defending your minion, but it's not really a secret you really hard ran in Paladin. Outside of in Wild, you ran it in like Secret Paladin because it was pretty good when you pull it off with your mysterious challenger. So it's not bad, it's not great, it's kind of like middle of the road secret, kind of the definition of Paladin secrets. Actually, they're kind of really bad. We'll get to more of them, but we'll give it a B. I don't think it's particularly bad, but it's again kind of thrown into Secret Paladin, and that's about it. Next, we have Avenge. It's a 1-mana Paladin secret, and whenever a minion has died, give another friendly minion +3/+2. This is insanely good. This has been like the most powerful Paladin secret since it's been introduced. I mean, it's staple in Secret Paladin, but hell, you can run in an Odd Paladin, just a 1-of. It's just aggressive. It's 1 mana 3/2, and it's very annoying to play around. And when you're playing like Paladin with Snowball effects, Divine Shield, it's just crazy. Actually, give this an S tier secret. It's seen play for so long in Paladin since it's been introduced, and it's just too freaking good not to give that high a rating. Next, we have Bamboozle. It's a 2-mana secret for Rogue. And whenever whenever a friendly minion is attacked, you transform it into a random one that costs 3 more. I had quite the highlight one game where I attacked into a Shield of Galakron and turned into an Octosari and was able to mill my opponent to death. But yeah, Bamboozle, for the most part, is one of the weaker, if not the weakest, Rogue secret recently introduced. Mainly because you're playing minions like Edwin Van Cleef and Questing Adventurer that you don't want to really have turn into a minion that costs 3 more. It's usually worse off than your snowballing minion. So it was running like early builds, but overall it's been cut mostly, and it's just not that great. I'm gonna give it a high C for the play it has seen, but I just don't think it's that good. There's just better options even in standard, and I don't think you're playing that ever in Wild. You have Bear Trap for Hunter. It's a 2-mana secret. When your hero is attacked, summon a 3/3 beast with taunt. So Iron the Grizzly. Pretty solid. Saw quite a lot of play for a good amount of time. It's a 2-mana 3/3 taunt, right? It's not bad. Power creeps happen. Doesn't really see a ton of play. It sees fringe play in Wild, but I'll give it a low B for its just power level of how decent it is, and you can still play it. It's still a card that you sometimes pop into your deck in Wild, so can't be all that bad. Next, we have Cat Trick, another Hunter secret. It's 2 mana, and whenever your opponent casts a spell, summon a 4/2 Panther with Stealth. It's like Jungle Panther, basically, and one of the best secrets ever made for Hunter. It's just, everyone runs spells for the most part, and then you get an aggressively statted minion that they can't interact with, and it's very good in your aggressive decks. It can be good in a slower deck just to let you control the board and, kill minions. Just very powerful, very solid. I'm actually going to give it an S tier. It's just one of those secrets that has just always popped up in Hunter decks and is just super, super strong. Next, we have a Rogue secret, Cheat Death. It's 2 mana, and when a friendly minion dies, return it to your hand. It costs 2 less. So didn't see a ton of play in Standard while it was out, but in Wild, with the big Rogue shenanigans, it was very good there. You could cheat out, Barns and like get cheap minions, do just silly stuff, and yeah, you could do value things with it overall, but outside of that, I didn't see a ton of play. I'm not going to give it a C, though. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's seen enough versatile play, especially in Wild, And I'm going to give it a B. I think it's good enough, but yeah, definitely, it was definitely the strongest of the original secrets for Rogue, the 3 that they got, but still, none of them were that spectacular. Next, we have a competitive spirit, 1 mana secret for Paladin, and at the start of your turn, give all of your minions +1/+1. Staple for a while, like Odd Paladin, of course, Secret Paladin, like, it goes without saying, a lot of these are just, you're going to throw it in Secret Paladin, but even when a secret's good enough that it sees play outside of Secret Paladin, you know it's very strong. And you still, not so much these days, but you still see it pop up in Odd Paladin and decks like that because you have a wide board and you're likely going to get this buff, and that's very powerful for 1 mana. So I'll give it a low A just for how much play it has seen over the years, but yeah, definitely a very solid one. Next, we have a Mage secret, Counterspell, 3 mana. You get to counter your next opponent. When they cast a spell, you counter it. It doesn't proc, it doesn't activate. Secret Mage loves this one in Wild. It's just Kirin Tor Counterspell, and if your opponent doesn't have the coin, it can get locked out. Doesn't see a lot of play in Standard these days. Just the secret stuff in Standard just hasn't really been there, and when you do run secrets in Standard, it's more defensive options, but overall, very strong secret. I'll give it an A. It's seen so much play throughout the years. Being able to lock your opponent out from playing spells, this has an incredible effect, and it also counters Flare, one of the counters to secrets. Next, we have Dart Trap, 2 mana secret for Hunter. When your opponent uses their hero power, deal 5 damage to a random enemy. Yeah, this is contingent on them hero powering, your opponent hero powering, and then the 5 damage can go anywhere. This has always been unplayable garbage, really bad. I don't think I've ever seen it realistically put into a deck. I've seen it created by and all that, but yeah, definitely an F tier secret all around, just super bad. Next, we have Rogue Secret Dirty Tricks. It's one of the newer ones. 2 mana secret, and after your opponent plays a spell, you draw 2 cards. Super powerful. Like, you get to draw 2 cards for 2 mana. Almost every single deck, especially in Standard, is spell-centric. There's always going to be spells. You're going to draw it. It's not unbelievably busted or unbelievably good, but it's very solid, and I'll definitely put it above Ambush as an A-tier secret. Next, we have Duplicate, Mage Secret, and after a friendly minion dies, you add 2 copies to your hand. So, very powerful in a value deck where you can get multiple, like Kazakus, Zephyrus potentially, but typically it doesn't work that way. You're typically running it more an aggressive line, so you can get like more midi valets or, you know, Cloud Princes, or just, you know, more Mad Scientists. Draw stuff out of your deck. It's really good. Has seen a lot of play. It's definitely not like game breaking, but a very solid secret. So we'll give it a low A. Definitely pretty good. Next we have Effigy, 3 mana secret for Mage, and after a friendly minion dies, you replace it with one of the same cost. So yeah, if you have a 3-drop dies and it comes back as a 3-drop. You don't really run this card ever in your deck. It's not that great. It's not bad per se, but you'd have to build your deck around it in a specific way to actually make it good, and this is not worth the payoff. But it's created by, it's okay. We'll give it a C. It's not garbage, but certainly not at the power level of other Mage secrets. Next, we have Evasion. This is one of the older Rogue secrets, and after your hero takes damage, become immune this turn. So this was pretty good in like a Malagos Rogue, those type of decks where you would just want to, you know, stay alive, stall. So you'd play Evasion and you take 1 hit of damage that turn. They hit you for like 6, that's it. Hit you for 1, that's it. They can only hit once. And it wasn't too bad, wasn't great. Those decks were never solid and sees like no play at all in Wild anymore. I'm going to give it a high C, just for, it did see play, but it was always in these like fringe, not top tier decks. And other than that, basically just didn't really work out. Not even Kingsbane and Rogue Wild. I know people tried it there, but it never really was worth it. Next, we have a Mage Secret Explosive Runes. This is a juggernaut of a card. It's 3 mana, and after your opponent plays a minion, you deal 6 damage to it and any access to their hero. So they play a 1 health minion, they're taking 5 damage. This card's busted. This card's been busted since day 1. It saw Standard play when secrets weren't even that good in Standard, and in Wild, it's just going to be in Secret Mage forever and ever. It's just so... I mean, you get to kill almost anything your opponent plays, plus you get to push face damage. It's just ridiculous. It can counter combo decks, too. Like, Aviana just gets nuked by this. It's just a ridiculously powerful card. One of the best secrets ever made. Definite S tier all the way. We have Explosive Trap, 2 mana Hunter Secret. And after your opponent attacks your hero, deal 2 damage to all enemies. So, Face Hunter likes this well because it can kill stuff and push face, and you can even use as like defensive purposes for like AoE. It's been a very versatile secret in Hunter for a very long time, and it always pops up. It's definitely like an A tier secret. It's just very powerful. You know, it can be aggressive, it can be defensive. It's just a very good card. Next, we have Eye for an Eye. Paladin secret. Speaking of very good card, after your hero takes damage, the other hero takes the same amount of damage. So you get hit for 8, they get hit for 8. You get hit for 1, you get hit for 1. You're never putting this in your deck. Absolute dog garbage tier, super solid meme, horrible F all the way, terrible secret. Next, we have Flame Ward for Mage secret. It's 3 mana, and after your hero is attacked, deal 3 damage to all enemy minions. So it's like an AoE. It's pretty solid. It can be used in aggressive decks. It can be used defensively. It's just extremely versatile. I'm on the fence whether I want to give this S or an A. Like, I feel like it's got to go S, but at the same time, it's got to go S. It's just in too many decks, like Reno Mage, Standard Highlander Mage, Secret Mage can run it. It's just too good. Like, a 3 mana, deal 3 AoE, typically that costs 5. Yes, your opponent can manipulate it, play around it a bit, but it's just so freaking good, so powerful. I've got to give it an S. Next, we have a Hunter Secret Freezing Trap. When enemy minion attacks, return it to its owner's hand. It costs 2 more. This has just been a staple in, like, a ton of aggressive Hunter decks, because you get to lock out minions, and, you know, when you put it back to their hand for 2, it's usually unplayable and just super strong. It's bad in a meta where there's a lot of like little tokens and 1/1s, but if you got a Edwin meta or questing meta, it can be very powerful and definitely has seen a ton of play. I'm not willing to give it that S tier rating because it's, you know, it's not quite at that level, but it's very strong. It's a high A for sure. Next, we have Frozen Clone. It's a Mage secret, and after your opponent plays a minion, add 2 copies of it to your hand. Really bad. Like, on average, your opponent's just going to give you garbage, and you don't, like, what's your deck built around? It's just bad. I mean, it's a created by card, and even then, it's a pretty bad one. I'm going to give it an F. I've never seen this card pop up in an actual, realistic competitive deck, and it just feels bad when you get it randomly, even. It's just gross. It's gross. Next, we have another Paladin secret, Getaway Kodo, and when a friendly minion dies, you return it to your hand, so... this was a good created by option off of the little Murloc. You would discover Getaway Kodo, and then you get the Murloc back in your hand. You could discover Getaway Kodo, and you could get it back, and you could get Stonehill back, and stuff like that. But it's never a card you really ran. It was more just, yeah, a created by secret. I don't really ever recall running it, but the value was decent. It's not terrible. I'll give it a C, but definitely not something you ever really put in your deck. Speaking of cards you literally never put in your deck, is Hidden Cache. It's a 2-mana Hunter secret, and after your opponent plays a minion, give a random minion in your hand +2/+2. This thing is so freaking bad. Like, 2 mana +2/+2, that's what you pay these days to get a selective targeted, and even that's pretty underwhelming. This is random, contingent on your opponent playing a minion, just unbelievably bad. One of the worst cards ever printed, in my opinion. Like, I think it's worse than Eye for an Eye. Terrible. Next, we have the Paladin secret, Hidden Wisdom. It's 1 mana after your opponent plays 3 cards in a turn, draw 2 cards. Some people thought this would be really powerful. It's 1 mana, draw 2. How tough can it be for that to go off? But typically, the meta just never lined up that your opponent could easily play around it. They could see, well, I've played 2 cards, the secret hasn't gone off, I'm just not going to draw them 2 cards, it's a dead card. And it just never really panned out. The effect is really strong, but you need it to go off, and it just never really did reliably. So I'm going to give it a C for that reason. Just wasn't reliable enough, but certainly wasn't bad. Next, we have Ice Barrier, 3 mana Mage secret. And after your hero is attacked, they gain 8 armor. It's just survivability for Mage, and that's hard to come by. Getting armor as a Mage or healing as a Mage has always been difficult, and Ice Barrier has been one of the better options, and it still sees play in Standard and in Wild from time to time. So I definitely got to mark it as a high A. It's not like game-breaking, it's not ridiculously good, but it's very solid, very strong, and gives Mage survivability. And as I said, that is not easy to come by. Speaking of giving Mage survivability, we have Ice Block, 3 mana secret. After your opponent takes fatal damage this turn, they become immune, effectively giving you an extra turn. I think we all know this guy was Hall of Famed for a reason. It's one of the most powerful secrets ever made. Giving yourself an extra turn, especially in a class like Mage that has Burn, Exodias, extra turns, is extremely powerful. The card's ridiculous. One of the most frustrating things to do. Like, oh, well, I have a billion damage on board, but it doesn't matter. I can't kill my opponent because he's got Ice Block up, and then I lose on an interactive turn. So, yeah, Ice Block, unbelievably powerful and frustrating at the same time. Next, we have Mana Bind, 3-mana secret. After your opponent plays a spell, you get a copy of it. It costs 0. It's a good created by secret at times, that's for sure, but it's not really one you want to run. So I'm going to give it a C. Getting a 0-mana spell could be nice, but getting like a 0-mana coin feels bad. And, you know, it's, again, really easy to play around. And typically when people play around secrets, they play their most garbage spell to start off to play around counterspell. And it kind of works against this card pretty heavily. Next, we have Mirror Entity, another mage secret. It's a 3-mana secret. And after your opponent plays a minion, you summon a copy of it. So it's been... was a staple in Secret Mage for quite some time, but it's fallen off. There's just too many like garbage minions people play. It's just not good enough tempo, but it saw a lot of play for a long time, and it's not particularly bad. I'll give it a low B just because it has seen so much play over the years. It has been so good, but yeah, it's definitely fallen off and has seen better days. Next, we have Misdirection. It's a 2-mana Hunter secret, and after your hero is attacked, you basically make them attack something different, whether it be an enemy minion or themselves or themselves, depending. This saw a bit of meta play when Galakrond Shaman was really popular recently because it was one way to try and deal with their giant like elementals and stuff. But other than that, Misdirection is typically not hard run very often. It's kind of a tech choice, and for that reason, I'm going to give it a high C. Not a particularly bad secret. It can be very powerful, but it just never really pops up in meta decks. Next, we have Netherwind Portal Mage Secret. It's 3 mana, and after your opponent plays a spell, summon a random 4-cost minion. When it was introduced, I thought it would be an auto-include in Secret Mage and be super powerful. Didn't work out that way, but now it's popped up in a lot of Secret Mage lists. People realize the tempo of it. Getting a 4-drop can be good. You can high roll and hit like an 8-8. You can low roll and get a 1-1. But overall, the tempo's solid. It's been a good secret option. I'll give it a B. Definitely not at the level of these other secrets. It's definitely more of a, you know, situational meta call, but I think it's been good enough tempo that people are starting to recognize it's not half bad. So we have a Paladin secret, Never Surrender. 1 mana, whenever your opponent casts a spell, give your minions +2 health. Insanely powerful effect, especially in a deck like Odd Paladin, where you have tokens, and then the second they play one spell, all your dudes have +2 health, and then you can buff them up pretty easily, and then you win the game. And of course, Secret Paladin likes this card as well. Very powerful. It's like borderline S, but I'm going to give it a high A. Just because I'm not sold on it being that busted over the years yet. It's just very, very good. And it might work its way up to S one day. Who knows? Next, we have Noble Sacrifice, another Paladin secret. And whenever a friendly character is attacked, you summon a 2/1 defender as the new target. It's a way of defending minions. It's okay. It has some synergy with like Avenge, because like it'll block the attack, and if you only have the 1 minion up, that you have the Avenge proc, which is pretty good. But it's mostly a card you run in Secret Paladin, because it has really good synergy with Mysterious Challenger. But on its own, it's not that great. But for that reason, I'll give it a B. I'll give it a low B, because it has been a staple in that deck for so long, and it is very good in that deck, but standalone, it wouldn't really see play if you weren't cheating it out. Next, we have Pack Tactics, relatively new Hunter secret. It's 2 mana, and when a friendly minion is attacked, you summon a 3/3 copy. It saw a bit of play here and there, but people just kind of realized that, yeah, Snake Trap's still just better, and because you get 3 bodies rather than 1, although you can get, like, let's say hit Face Stalker. It's kind of nice to have 2 Face Stalkers, but overall, it's okay, not great. I'm going to give it a high C. It's kind of that misdirection play, where it sees a little bit of play here and there, but overall, not insane. Next, we have Plagiarize, the newest rogue secret. You play it, and you basically get a copy of every card your opponent played the last turn. So it's popped up in a value secret rogue lately. Some people run it, some people don't. And outside of that, the card doesn't really pop up other than created by. It's not bad. It's better than I thought it would be. I thought it'd be terrible. But it turns out just getting a little bit of value can be really good off of it. And it also can just force your opponent to not do much stuff, which can give you the tempo advantage. So I'm going to give it a low B, because it is seeing a bit of play. It is good, and who knows, it might get refined and go further down in the future. Next, we have Potion of Polymorph, Mage Secret. It's 3 mana. When your opponent plays a minion, you turn it into a 1/1 sheep. So this can be very effective in like countering combos effectively, or big death rattles, or Void Call, or something like that. You see it sometimes as like a 1-up in Reno Mage, but overall, not often. It's more of a created by option. it's a tech secret in my opinion. And all the tech secrets, I kind of like giving the C treatment just because you don't really put them into your decks unless it's like a really specific meta. And we haven't really seen it a ton in Wild as of late. Next, we have Pressure Plate. It's 2-mana Hunter Secret. And after your opponent casts a spell, destroy a random minion. Can be very good in the right meta. Again, this is another pretty meta-specific card. It's like very spell-heavy, where people are cheating out minions with secrets, like they are with Druid these days, with Guardian Animals. Unfortunately, it summons 2, so only kills 1. It can be pretty good. But yeah, it hasn't popped up a lot. It's kind of fallen out of favor in Standard, and again, Hunter's not even really a thing in Wild, so I'll give it a B. It's definitely solid, but just isn't really good enough to see play right now. Next, we have Rat Trap, another Hunter Secret. After your opponent plays 3 cards in a turn, summon a 6/6 rat. This card was very good. Unlike Hidden Wisdom, which was like you got the 2 cards, this just worked really well with Hunter because you're aggressive and you force your opponents to play minions. You force them to play cards to deal with you, and in order to do that, you proc the 6/6 rat, which can be very powerful. It saw a ton of play in Standard. It sees play in Wild here and there when Hunter is playable, and it's definitely very strong. I'm gonna give it a low A. It's just a very solid Hunter Secret. Next, we have Redemption, 1-mana secret. After a friendly minion dies, bring it back to 1 health. Again, it's like you throw it into Secret Paladin, but you rarely ever hard run this card. Yeah, you can do cool stuff. You play Tyrion and play this, but none of that stuff ever really panned out. So I'll give it a low B, I guess, in that Noble Sacrifice. I don't think it's quite as good, but it's not much worse. Next, we have Repentance, 1-mana secret. After your opponent plays a minion, set its health to 1. Sometimes you'd run this in Secret Paladin. Sometimes you don't. It's just not that great. We'll give it a C. You're never running this by itself. It's definitely a thing you got to cheat out. Next, you have Sacred Trial. Speaking of, you never want to put this in your deck. It's a Paladin secret. After your opponent has at least 3 minions, you destroy another. So, yeah, I mean, if your opponent plays wide and doesn't play around it, it's okay, I guess. But other than that, it's really bad. I'm going to give it an F. I don't think I've ever seen it realistically hard run. It's more of a created by, and you hope your opponent's bad and plays into it. Next, we have Snake Trap. It's 2-mana Hunter Secret. And after a friendly minion is attacked, you summon 3/1/1 snakes. This is very powerful. We have tons of B synergy in Hunter. Just getting tokens is good. Scavenging Hyena, all that stuff. It's seen a lot of play throughout the years. I'm not going to give it an S, but it's definitely a high A secret. Very powerful Hunter Secret. Next, we have Snipe. Another Hunter Secret. Whenever your opponent plays a minion, deal 4 damage to it. It's like a fair version of Explosive Runes. Explosive Runes is busted. Snipe, not so much. Very rarely do you hard run this card. You did when you ran all the secrets in Secret Hunter, and even then, it still wasn't that great. So I'm gonna give it a high C. I kind of want to give it a low B, but I feel it's just not quite there. It's kind of that Pack Tactics territory. Next, we have Mage Secret Spellbender. When an enemy casts a spell on a minion, summon a 1/3 as the new target. This card really only saw meta play the one time we can remember, when Paladin was super popular and Spikeridge Steed was the nuts. So you play Spellbender because they only really ranged Spikeridge Steed. They couldn't play around this, so they would Steed this, and it was crazy good. Other than that, Spellbender has not really been that much of a meta card. It's not particularly bad. It's a good created by card at times. But again, it kind of falls into that fringe tech option, so we'll give it a C. But again, not particularly terrible. Speaking of particularly terrible, though, we have Splitting Image, another Mage Secret. When one of your minions is attacked, summon a copy of it. This is like the fringe of fringe. It's greedy as hell, and you need it to be a copy of a minion that you care about. In a mage, you just typically don't care about that stuff. It can be a created by option, don't get me wrong, but even then, it can be very clunky and very bad. I'm actually going to give it an F. It's just not quite really a card you would ever put in your deck and realistically hope for it to go off. In a good way, at least. Next, we have a Rogue Secret, Sudden Betrayal. When a minion attacks your hero, it instead attacks one of its neighbors. So this only procs if your opponent has multiple minions and they go face. It's just not very good. It saw a little bit of play. It's like a decent defensive option, but it's so easy to play around. It's so easy to play around. Like, you have a few minions on board, well, you just attack with like the ones you know that if they trade into each other, it just doesn't matter. And it just never saw a good amount of play. It's just mediocre. It's just super mediocre. So as a result, I'll give it a low C. Not quite a fail, but definitely not very good. We have a Mage Secret Vaporize. After your hero is attacked, you destroy that minion. Yeah, created by option. not particularly bad, not particularly great. Definitely in that C territory. But yeah, I don't think you're ever really hard running vape, and if you are, you're doing it wrong. Next, we have a Hunter Secret Venom Strike Trap. Whenever one of your minions is attacked, summon a 2/3 Poisonous Cobra. So it's like Ambush for Rogue, but kind of worse because, you know, it's typically better if it just procs when they play a minion, but it can make trading and stuff kind of awkward. It's up play in Standard during its time, and, you know, it's a decent little secret. It's kind of be frustrating to play around and all of that, but overall, there's usually better options for Hunter, and it just doesn't quite make the cut. I'll give it a low B, though. It's kind of that plagiarized, this kind of category where it's not bad, it's not great, it pops up here and there, but definitely not really that meta card anymore. And last, we have a Hunter Secret Wandering Monster. Whenever your hero is attacked, summon a 3-cost minion as the new target. You can get trolled and get Hellfiend and mill your stuff. That can be hilarious. But overall, this is an insanely good secret. It defends your hero. It gets you tempo on the board because it's 2 mana for a 3-drop, which on average is like a 3/3, which is pretty good. A lot of the time, the minion will survive and you can attack with it. And just overall, a very, very powerful Hunter Secret. I'm going to give it an S. It's still run today in Wild. It's just very, very good, very impactful. And there you have it. That is every secret in Hearthstone history, rated from tier S to F. Let me know in the comments below, which do you agree with, which do you disagree with. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, all of that helps the channel a lot. Have a great day. Stay salty, my friends.